you do a good product, but let me ask you this: what's it like in the editing room? Or do you have somebody else that does that part of it?
Well, no, I'm involved all the way through.
Okay. That's got to be tough.
Well, it's funny. I always say I think maybe editing is my favorite part of the whole process. I mean,
Wow.
I essentially love all of it. I love doing the research.
Right.
I love going out with the crews to interview people and to get footage, of whatever our topic may be.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get to the editing room, it's when it all sort of comes together, and
Right.
when you try to figure out what the puzzle looks like, and
Right. Yeah. Believe me, I
all
know
of
what
that,
that's
and
like.
which story comes first and which comes last, and how do you make it stay interesting throughout an hour or whatever your time period is? So I love working in the editing room, and I've worked almost the entire time with the same guy at WQED, Kevin Conrad. He's been my editor since the very first programs. There was a program called Transplant Town before we ever did Kennywood Memories or the Mon, the Al, and the O. The Mon, the Al, and the O was the first
Official one.
first of the ones that we still call the Pittsburgh History Series.
Okay.
But I had done a half an hour documentary before that here called Transplant Town about organ
Is it
transplants.
possible to get that anywhere?
No, and it's totally out of date. All the information,
Right.
The techniques even and stuff like that. But it was such an eye opener to me coming back to Pittsburgh. And
Right.
I'd been away for 16 years, and I came back to Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden we were the world capital of organ transplants.
Wow.
So I did a show about that.
Well, you don't mind if I put you to work for a minute, do you?
No,
We have a call. Would you like to get the call for us?
sure. Let's hear the call.
Hi, Rick Sebak.
Oh,
This is Diane. I'm his sister.
That's my
Al's
sister.
sister. Now, Rick Sebak, I've been watching you when you had Kennywood. I hope you put more Kennywood in more diners. But if you do diners, do Ritter's Diner. It's a good place to go. You'll love it. You and Chris Fillmore will be loving that place.
Oh,
And I hope I see you doing more diners, more Kennywood, and more places like Main
Oh,
Street,
my.
like you did on that, you know which one you're talking about.
Well, he did a lot
I
of
hope you
diners.
talk about more TV shows. I've been watching in Lost Kennywood, but go back to Kennywood now. It's brand new ride.
my
You should
goodness.
go there. Go to the Ritter's Diner. I'm advertising it for them.
Don't
Excellent.
do that. Don't do that.
Ritter's is a great place. I mean, and I love that place.
Good place, and it's a good place to go. Ask my brother, the host. He got
gosh.
you one. I'm happy.
Well, Diane, we're going to move forward and let Rick answer
Talk
the
about
call.
diners
Oh,
and
gosh.
how you got started in diners.
Well, I think I got started in diners the same way everybody did. And my
You
parents
got to
took me
eat.
there one
You
time.
got to eat.
Maybe you should get Rick Sebak.
She's all confused.
You know.
No, but I mean, I learned,
Chris Fillmore
that.
on with you the next time.
I'm sorry?
Hopefully you should be on. I'd like the strip show.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to
Have
move
more
forward.
like that. Have more shows like that.
Well, we try to
We
have
will,
them on.
we
And
will.
I don't know if you.
You
if
know,
you've-
talk about Penn Avenue or East Liberty.
Oh,
Famous East Liberty, if you want to.
Oh, boy.
yeah, he's-
Peabody High School, I went to.
Excellent.
All right, well, Diane, we're going to move
All
forward,
right,
please.
you have a nice night and wear that seatbelt.
Yeah,
My
that's
brother
true.
will tell you, wear that seatbelt.
That's true,
It
wear the
saves
seatbelt.
lives.
Thank you.
Good night. All right. That was different. Well, she has a point. The other old neighborhoods would be nice. I'm sure you've probably already done that already.
We went to the Lucas Diner not too long ago.
We're not advertising. You're going to get me in trouble here.
No, but DeLuca's is a great place. Great breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had a wide variety of choices. That's what
Yeah, no,
don't
DeLuca's
believe
is a
they're
great place.
doing this.
We cover it in the strip show.
Right. Yeah, remember
we do
that.
JoJo's and
Right.
DeLuca's.
You even covered Woolies, the fish place.
Oh yeah, how could you do the strip and not do
Yeah,
Woolies?
well, you better not do that. You'll be in big trouble. I didn't notice Bankovitz, but I'm sure you had that in there.
Bankovitz was in there too.
Yeah.
Mr. Bankovitz was still in charge back
There
then.
you go. Yeah.
So actually, to me it is amazing how quickly the years go.
Yeah.
That they, things get out of date, and
Right.
I feel like I just did it yesterday.
Right.
But,
Well, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about doing a follow-up, or have you done a follow-up to any of your series, such as like, I don't know, like stuff that's still here that maybe is no longer here? Have you ever done any follow-ups? Have you ever considered any follow-ups?
well, that's probably the only one that's sort of like connects. We have things that aren't there anymore, which is
Right.
still one of our biggest sellers.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Kennywood and things that aren't there anymore are the DVDs that have sold the most for us.
Really?
Yeah.
I
And-
thought Stuff That's Gone would be a big
No, and
seller.
then Stuff That's Gone was sort of a sequel to things that aren't there anymore.
Right.
And then later we did a show called Things That Are Still Here.
Right.
And in the middle there, the way these programs are funded at WQED changed a little.
Okay.
And so now back when I did Kennywood Memories, which was right after I came back to Pittsburgh in
Right.
1987, actually we shot in 88 and that show came out in the fall of 88. Things have changed, and so now we have to have full funding before we begin.
Wow.
And so, it's just enough different that I don't think we'll ever do an update on Kennywood because
Okay.
I don't know if we'd be able to find the money.
Fun.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
but that's all part of the game, and
Yeah.
and you have to play those games too, and find the money, and then do the show. We generally shoot about 20 days for an hour-long show, so I get the crew for 20 days, and I try to figure out what we've got to shoot
Right.
and how I can best manage that time.
Right.
But I always want to find a subject, whether it be diners or
Right.
Kennywood or something.
Ice cream, cemeteries.
Right. I want it to be a subject that I know that I can have fun with for 6 to 9 months, because that's how long it takes to make one of these programs.
Can you reiterate that to the audience? That's how long it takes?
Oh, it does take
It
6 to
takes
9
a long
months.
time.
Oh yeah, because I think if you do a good job, it looks like it's effortless.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to aim for, to make it
Right.
seem like, what's so logical? Why do you have to work at all to put that together? Because it's just, it flows
Right.
right. So
Well,
that's
I'll
what
tell
we're
you
working
what,
towards.
there's one thing you can count on is on public television in Channel 13. There's one thing that you can depend on, that if it has your name attached to it, it's most likely going to be very interesting and very good.
Well, thank you.
And that's the truth.
Thank you very much.
Now, I got to tell you, there were some things that when you did the cemetery one, I was a little bit like, well, he forgot that. But it was interesting. And the cemetery one was very interesting because I'm pretty sure that's where I learned that cemeteries used to be places where people went on picnics. And I thought, what?
No,
But
I
it
know
made
that
sense.
that's one of the major surprises from that. But yes,
It is.
parks came about because people liked going to cemeteries so much.
Isn't that
It was so
something?
nice to have a beautiful
And I
landscape.
do like going to cemeteries.
Right, I do too. It's
Peaceful.
it's peaceful. You learn something no matter what. If you spend a little time walking through a cemetery, chances are you're going to learn something.
Do you believe that they're haunted?
Oh, Jimmy
No,
Crickets.
not at all. In fact,
Oh.
we purposely didn't do anything that, had anything to do with ghosts or anything like that. It's,
Oh.
cemeteries are places where you can go and sort of remember people you loved, and, you can take a book,
Yeah.
some people don't want, people they don't want you to touch the tombstones and stuff. I
Right.
don't have that fear. I think that they're there, and if, it's, you can walk across graves and things like that. I think that's okay.
Even I still don't do that. I feel embarrassed when I walk across a grave. But I learned,
There was one
I
right
learned
But I think
a little
but I think
secret,
if the
though.
person has a spirit there, that they're happier
Right.
that you just came to visit.
Right. But I did learn a secret. There is no place in any cemetery that you can walk that you're not walking on somebody's grave. So that you cannot go to the cemetery unless you walk on somebody's grave. I found that out from a director of a cemetery. I'm going to let Chris get the call because, believe it or not, one of my co-hosts and the person who really mentored me is actually on the phone, and that is Nora Rose Parker Carter. And Chris is going to answer the call, and I'm sure she's going to have some questions for you. And then after she's done, we're going to have Chris ask you whatever questions he has, and then we're going to go with that. And I'm going to shut my teeth for a little bit.
All right.
Because I have a tendency to have a big mouth.
Is that you, Nora?
Yes. Hi. How are you all?
Good. How are
Okay.
you, Nora?
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and Al told me I would be surprised, and I am so delightful surprised to see you today.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now, I have been watching your show ever since I was a young person, and Mr. Rogers went down to Washington, D.C. and fought for us to have our public broadcasting. And through you doing it, you came to my one cousin's house on Pennsylvania Avenue from Manchester, and
Hello?
you did wonderful showing of the old buildings and that. And I want to thank you again because it brought Manchester in the light in such a wonderful way. So
Excellent.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, I have something very important to say. I just watched Channel 2, our older station, and they had Senator Casey and also Senator Specter here to see one of our veterans that just had a hand transplant. And so you're here today because you were the one with Q bringing this to us. And now they were here today. They didn't ask for money, the state didn't, but they said they're going back and they're going to present the transplant program that we have here at UPMC and bring it back to the Senate. So again, we thank you, and this is a perfect day for you to be here because you put so much work into it. Like you said, 20 days. I'm quite sure that was even more than 20. But I thank you from the bottom of your heart putting the transplant part on. I thank you.
Thank you.
And my question is, do you see anything that we can do for public broadcasting from our station to your station to make sure that it's sound and we keep them always here against the big corporate type of TV station?
In other words, the survival, financial survival of both public television, which is Channel 13, WQED, and the other three sister stations. And also, I think she's saying also how we can keep Channel 21, the public access, which is different, but in the same similar.
Right.
She was wondering what we might be able to do to make sure that it stays here.
Well, I think we have to watch out for each other, support each other in any way we can.
Right.
And, we probably do more fundraising on air than you guys do. And
Yeah, we don't do any right now. We need to do some. We
but-
need our own documentary.
Obviously money's important.
right,
And whether it be tax dollars or cable fees or wherever your money comes from, it's important that we keep it. And it's important that if people enjoy public television in any one of its, formats, that you be vocal about that and keep up the support.
Let me ask you a question. As a person, if you could separate yourself for a second as Rick Sebak, employee and asset to WQED and public television, but just Rick, the human being, where do you, if public television and public access both went away on a national level, what would your feelings on that be and why?
Well, obviously I'd be upset because I think that public television, public broadcasting provide, something that you don't find on the other channels. And sometimes people ask me that, why you've never gone to commercial television? And
Right.
I say, but there's nothing on commercial television that I see that's anything like what I do. And
That's
I
true.
don't know that commercial television would have ever let me do what I do. So I'm happy